I don't want to burn it too bad. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a solo hot tent overnighter. As you guys can see, I've already got the tent set up. I've got my sleeping stuff set up and the wood stove. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this just kind of hit me as I was setting up. I almost think that this was the exact location that I started last year's hot tent season. And I think we're going to be starting hot tent season again in the same location. So the temperatures are coming down during the days and the nights. Today is going to be a high of 15 degrees Celsius, and the night is forecasted to go down between 4 degrees Celsius or 6 degrees Celsius. So almost getting to zero, and I'm very, very excited about that. So I'm going to give you guys a look at my setup, kind of talk about some of the gear because I do have a few new pieces and I want to get that out of the way just to bring you guys up to speed with what I've got with me today. And then I'm going to start setting that stuff up and bring you guys over to the fire pit area because there is something a little unfortunate that we have to take care of. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So let me bring you guys in closer and show you what I got for a setup today. Okay, so giving you guys just a quick look at the tent and the stove and all that stuff. What I've got going on is I have the Pomali Hussar tent. So this is a nice 1 to 2 person style teepee tent. Probably my favorite lightweight teepee tent, hot tent on the market right now, to be totally honest. This definitely fits my build for solo trips. So I do have the mesh inner installed today as we are kind of transitioning from, you know, summer to fall, getting into winter. There are still some bugs out and I don't really enjoy all that nastiness in here while I'm sleeping. So I did bring the bug net just for comfort. I have my downfill top quilt. So this is, it's not cold enough to bring a sleeping bag yet. So I'm going to be enjoying the top quilt. So this is my Featherstone top quilt, nice downfill. I've got my Gear Doctors Apollo Air sleeping pad in here. And that's basically it for right now. I also have some sleeping clothes tucked way in the back. So that's basically it for the interior of the tent for sleeping. And guys, I do have reviews on everything that I'm using here today, except for my backpack, and we'll touch on that in just one moment. So if you guys are interested in any reviews on this stuff, just go through my gear review playlist, and it's packed full of product reviews. So if you're interested, check it out. And then over here, I thought it was only fitting to do the first solo hot tent trip with the very first Pomali T1 Mini. So this is actually the original miniature T1 stove. No side glass, just a front window. And this thing has been burned so many times, over 100 fires in this guy since I've received it. And it is such an awesome stove and it's still performing absolutely well. So I wanted to bring this guy because my last trip I actually used the T1 Mini with 3 glass windows. And I figure, you know what? This is the first solo hot tent trip. Let's bring the first tiny little stove that I've received and let's fire it up today. So I'm gonna move back outside of the tent, touch on some of my cooking gear and the backpack that I brought with me today. Okay, so touching on some of the cooking gear that I brought with me, I did bring a titanium folding grill, so that's gonna be for supper tonight. I did bring my plate, so I do have my tiny little skillet plate. I also have the handle for it inside of one of my packs. I brought a 750 ml pot and a 450 ml pot, or a cup I should say. Now, this backpack, let's talk on this for just a moment. I don't like doing reviews while I'm out camping, so this is just letting you guys know what gear I have because I get asked a ton of questions. So this backpack is brand spanking new. I've been using it probably 2 or 3 trips now, and it is from Alps Mountaineering. It took me forever to get this backpack. I purchased it myself. And this is a 40 to 60 liter roll top bag, so the top actually rolls. It also has a front window to access gear. I will have a review on this shortly, but today I want to share the story with you on how I got this. So I've been after this backpack in this color scheme for a very long time, and I've been tracking it on Amazon for over 2 months. And every time I track it, it's ridiculously overpriced, and there's like a $50 fee for transferring from the States and a whole bunch of taxes. Finally, one day after checking Amazon 2 to 3 times per day for over 2 months, I got home from camping and I just checked it first thing in the morning and boom, there was one in stock in Canada. I bought it, just like that, bought it, and it showed up and I'm absolutely happy with it. But like I said, a review will be coming. And right after I purchased it, I checked the listing and it was sold out, gone. So I imagine they're in stock now in Canada, but I wanted one backpack to do everything, which is why I went with a roll top pack, multiple sizes, 40 to 60 liters. And it has these interesting side pouches. So these go on the hip, on the waist straps, they're removable. So I've got all my tent pegs and some spoon, fork, the handle to my pan's actually in here, matches, fire starters, and then I have another one over here. So this is really interesting. I can take it off, put it on my belt, use it as a foraging pouch, put it inside of the tent instead of bringing the whole backpack in. So that is what I got for gear. I also brought my 24-inch saw as we are going to be cutting wood. So that's it for gear. I want to get that out of the way. Now, I got to show you guys something a little bit unfortunate with the fire pit area. All right. right, so this is a major problem. I am way back in the middle of nowheres. This is one of my favorite places to come camping. Look at the size of this trash. Look at what they've thrown in the fire pit. All this stuff is green. This is not going to burn. This was a nice living tree, and it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So some of the stuff in here is actually burnable, such as this piece here. But I mean, look at the size of this, guys. This stuff isn't even burned. So it's just embarrassing to see this, because whoever did this is a complete idiot. They don't know how to light a fire. They don't even know how to keep a fire burning. I mean, the fact that all of this stuff was on top of here and it didn't even burn all the way tells me that they have zero skills, zero care, zero respect. I mean, look at this. This is gigantic, and it is a huge mess, and there's even more. So not only is the fire pit totally trashed, but there is a ton of garbage out here. Here I've got a bottle of off bug spray that, I mean, we're rolling into fall. There's really not a whole lot of mosquitoes left out here. The bugs are basically spiders, beetles, and things like that. So why, I don't understand this, but it's probably about a quarter of the way full, not very far from the fire pit. My guess is it was probably sitting right next to it, almost in the fire. So I'm going to be tossing that off to the side. I'm going to try and pack some of this stuff out with me tomorrow when I leave, but I don't think all of it's going to fit, because there's even more, and there's some stuff that I am not going to touch at all that is just downright disgusting and just disrespectful and very, very dangerous. So that's one piece of garbage. So coming over here to the edge of this beautiful backcountry lake, not only do we have more green trees that are cut down, but we also have a big jug of motor oil, some 10W30 Castrol. There's oil dripping all out of this container. The ground is saturated with oil, so that is just common sense. Pack this out. Don't do this crap in the outdoors. This is government property, Crown land in Nova Scotia. The government owns Crown land, and we're allowed to come out here and camp for free, hunt, fish, as long as you follow the rules. And it's stupid people like this that ruin it for everybody. But it doesn't stop here, guys. All right, so this is the part that really ticks me off. If it shows up well on camera, we're at midday, the sun's kind of contrasty and whatnot, but all of this green pine boughs and spruce boughs. So we've got all of this stuff here. We've got a tree cut down. All of this stuff right here in front of me is all from a fresh cut baby sapling pine and spruce tree. Over here we've got the entire spruce tree cut down, which I don't even understand why you would cut that down. It's not burned, it's not going to burn, and just leave it here. And then back here, there is even more damage. So here's another green spruce tree that was cut down, full of sap, still living. There's even more back here. Spruce tree cut down. There's a Rockstar energy drink can over there. There's a beer can. There's a plastic bottle. There's 5 more trees just like this cut just over here, about 20 feet off camera. This entire area is totally trashed. Now the part that really makes me angry is this right here. I'm not going to touch it with my bare hands, but if that picks up, you guys can see it says syringe. So let me show you the rest of it. All right, so I got to be really careful where I kneel down around here, because here we actually have the syringe with the needle on the end exposed. So you guys can see that needle point right there. Absolutely incredibly dangerous. This is disgusting. Someone's going to end up getting stabbed by that. My children come out here and play. Other people come out here, and to leave a dirty used needle with the point still on the end on the ground in the open is absolutely uncalled for. All right, guys, so after showing you guys some of the mess that is here, I mean, there's an oil jug right back behind me. I'm going to move that off in just a moment. I'm going to take some time and I'm going to clean up this area, this mess. I'm basically just going to try and push everything into the tree line and leave it there. I'm going to clean out the fire pit, salvage what wood that I can salvage, and that needle is really bothering me. I'm gonna have to pick that up with 2 sticks and walk it into the woods and place it underneath of a rock and just bury it, because there's nothing else I could do with it. But I'm totally not happy with what I found here today, and this unfortunately has been happening a lot here in Nova Scotia in the areas that I camp, and this is the #1 reason why I never share locations. For those who ask in the comment section, I never share where I'm at, and if someone does post in the comment section, oh, I know where that spot is, I delete the comment immediately, because I do not want overpopulation of the areas, which clearly is happening because they're getting destroyed. So like I said, I'm going to clean up the trees. I'm going to push those off to the side, get the fire pit cleaned out, salvage what I can for firewood, and press on with the day, because I am in a beautiful location. It just needs to be tidied up a little bit. And whoever did this, shame on you. Absolutely disgusting. I can't even call you an outdoorsman or outdoors woman, because you clearly lack all of the skills and all of the responsibilities of a person that deserves to be out here. Absolutely ridiculous. I will say one more thing though. I'm going to be collecting my 2 trail cameras from the trees when I leave tomorrow morning. So heads up for you. Let's get back to camping. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes of nothing but cleaning. Worked up quite a sweat. I had to rebuild the fire pit. That was totally destroyed. If you guys look way in the background, I've stacked up all of those cut trees, which is just ridiculous to even look at. All the garbage out of the fire pit, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be cooking over the fire pit this evening. I do not trust cooking over that with all the garbage and items that I found in the fire. I'm not very happy with that. Now, I will say that they brought in a load of firewood of old trusses from like an old barn or shed or some kind of maybe chicken coop, because there's all these metal kind of gusset pieces that you would hammer in to the wood. There's probably about 50 of them in there, and there are a couple of pieces of strapping wood, like 1x4 material. So I've cleaned up the area. Now I will say, it's not even funny, I can't even say the funny part, but the interesting part is there is only 2 pieces of wood that is even remotely able to burn out of this entire mess. There was only 2 pieces of wood that would actually catch fire for a campfire. I'm holding one right here, and there's one right next to me. Everything else that was in here burned is actually still green wood. So totally ridiculous. I don't even know why somebody would do this, but anyways, it's cleaned up. I do have room here for an outdoor fire, which I'll do later on, and try and get some of these pieces burned up and hopefully burn off some of the toxins that are in there, so when maybe someone comes here the next time, they don't get poisoned from cooking over that. So all in all, I'm moving forward. It is nice cool breeze coming off the lake, though, I will say that. So I did work up a sweat. That cold air is coming across the lake now. It actually feels pretty good. I'm going to gather my saw, cut up some of these pieces of wood, head off into the woods, find some dead wood, bring it back here, and get it all ready for both the outdoor fire and the wood stove inside of the tent. All right, guys, I've got some wood cut and split and placed inside of the tent next to the wood stove. I smashed my hand pretty good when I was batoning some wood there, so it is oozing quite a bit, but that's what Band-Aids are for, right? So I'm just going to get this Band-Aid on here and continue on. So I just realized that I have not done coffee yet. I've been so worked up with the mess of the area that I haven't stopped for any food or any drink. And I've got to pay very close attention to that because it's not worth getting lightheaded and dizzy just because you haven't had any food or any drink. And that'll ruin a camping trip really quick. So I'm just going to get this Band-Aid on here. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to make up some coffee. However, today's coffee is going to be different. So not only do I have different coffee, just trying to get that Band-Aid mashed into there. I got myself twice actually, but not worried about the second one. So I have new coffee and a new method of making coffee on this trip that I'm actually very excited about. And I also have to use the wood stove. So I don't have a canister stove with me. All I've got is the wood stove, and I planned on doing a fire outside. I've actually decided I'm not going to do an outdoor fire at all. So I'm just going to do all the fire in the wood stove. The area, I don't want to go over and have a fire over there right now. I just want to leave as it is and just spend my time over here next to the tent. After cutting up most of that wood, I have to take back my statement of them finding 2 good pieces to burn. All that was green. Every single piece over there was green. I actually had to go into the woods and collect all of this wood behind me that is nice and dry. I got that off dead trees that was just laying on the ground. So I'm going to stay away from there. I may sit on the rock over there later on and maybe eat, look out at the lake, but I don't think I want to do an outdoor fire on this trip. I'm just not feeling it. So I do have 1 bottle of water with me. Now you guys know the drill here on the channel. I bring 1 bottle with me lately and then I have to refill from the lake, which means I need to boil the water. So talking about the stove, I am going to need to be burning in the wood stove to make coffee. However, it's about mid-afternoon right now, so that stove, I can A, either let it go out, let it smolder out, or B, keep it going throughout the evening. I'm not going to be burning it tonight because I've got my top coat to keep me nice and warm, but I'm going to need it in the morning. Basically, anytime I need to cook, I'm going to need the wood stove. So that is going to require a little bit more firewood, but I am going to get the stove going right now, and I'm going to get a pot on top of there to make up some coffee, and then sit down here on this rock or maybe in front of the tent and just kind of collect my thoughts and go from there. All right, so we got a hot cup of coffee on the go right now, and I've got to say, this is actually really, really good. So this is the first time I've tried this coffee. I've got the package off to the side here, and it is from Tribo Coffee. So no, this is not a sponsored item. This is something that I picked up, and you guys know I love my coffee. So this is Tribo Coffee, and it says it's Ethiopia flavor. So the reason why I'm mentioning the flavor is because I got a sample pack of this stuff. So basically, it's a mixed variety pack. I have 2 pouches of each flavor in the box, and I think there's a total of 5 flavors. You guys will be seeing more of this on the channel. I got it for hiking, basically, because it comes with little paper stands that stand on top of your cup. It's coffee, a filter, and a stand all in one, and it's all biodegradable, so I can just toss it in the wood stove and let it burn up that way without making a mess or having to pack out a dirty coffee filter, because that's an issue in the past with me, is getting coffee filter in the water all over the backpack and whatnot. So I just want to read something to you. This flavor, it is very interesting because it is grapefruit, vanilla, and floral washed. Very interesting stuff. So I'm actually really happy with this. I'll be letting you guys know in future videos how I feel about the other flavors. And if I do enjoy them a lot, I'll probably pick up a lot more for hiking because they're really easy to stand on top of the cup and pour through that way. And they're single serve. They're kind of sealed up so the aroma stays in there, and it's just a lot easier. So cheers, guys. I'm going to enjoy some coffee. I've got the stove damped down a little bit. We do have some spotty sunshine with some clouds. A nice cool breeze whipping through here. I'm going to enjoy this coffee, relax for a few moments. I'll bring you guys back as soon as I'm done. Okay, so I'm starting to get set up for supper right now, and I've got a few things on the go. I just want to run through what I'm cooking and what's going on here, because there's a little bit changed. Originally, I was going to use my titanium grill right here, and I brought 2 big slabs of zucchini. I was going to grill those over the campfire with some olive oil and some spices. I don't feel comfortable cooking on that campfire with all the garbage inside of it, so that is not happening. So I'm going to be using this little grill as a tabletop, essentially. So it's still a piece of gear that I can use. I've got my cutting board and I've got some items here. So basically, I'm going to change my recipe, and what I'm going to be doing is a pasta dish. So I did bring some tricolored pasta. I have 2 big cloves of garlic. I have a red onion. I've got some olive oil, and I've got my zucchini. So instead of grilling these, I'm just going to cut them up, put everything into the pan. And then I have my spice kit here. I have a tortilla wrap, and I also brought a little singles of garlic hummus. So this is basically going to be my sauce, and I'm going to mix up spices and whatnot and have a tortilla wrap with that on the side and bring it all together in the pan for a pasta dish. I think it'll be really good. I do have a bottle of water that I filled up from the lake. So one thing I do want to mention, and I covered this in a previous video, when you gather water from a lake, this is now contaminated. Not just the water, but the bottle itself. So for now on, for the rest of the trip, the only thing I could drink out of is my cup or my pot. I can't boil water and put it back in the bottle and drink it because the bottle itself is contaminated. So I just want to share that again. A lot of people get sick from making that mistake of putting it back in the bottle thinking it's clean drinking water. Don't do that. You can get sick. So I've got some water there that has to come up to a boil. I want to get my pasta in there, get that cooked up, get the frying pan on top of the stove, start frying up some veggies, bring it all together, and have a nice pasta dish. Okay guys, supper is all done. I've already done all my cleanup and I'm just relaxing right now. The temperature is starting to cool off quite a bit. I had to get my sweater back on because I can actually feel the chill coming in off the lake, which is going to be awesome later on this evening. Sitting inside of the tent with the wood stove going, nothing like some nice cool crisp air to jump in that hot tent. So I'm looking forward to that. Now across the lake, there are a bunch of red and yellow and orange trees. So the leaves are starting to change colors. It's really hard to see right now because the sunlight's hitting it directly, but I think once the sun dips below the trees, all that stuff across the lake may light up bright with some oranges and reds and be a little bit more visible. So I'm going to relax for probably the next hour or 2 hours and wait for sunset to kind of set in. I did do a little bit more cleanup of the area, so I just kind of been going around cleaning things up. All the firewood that I did cut for the outside fire, and I realized it was wet, it's still over there. It is still green and damp. It's not going to burn, but I'll leave it there. And maybe the next person that shows up will be a little bit more respectful than the last people. And maybe that stuff will be dry enough for them to help burn up all the rest of the garbage that's here. And by garbage, I mean all the green wood. It's just terrible what people do to places like this. You know, just looking off in the distance, they really messed this place up. So I'm not happy about that, but all in all, the night is going really well so far. Supper was awesome. I'm actually really glad that I didn't light the outside fire because I don't have to cut that much wood. And secondly, I changed the recipe, so having that zucchini in the pasta was absolutely awesome. I was just going to grill them like little medallions and then cut them and kind of eat them that way, but I'm actually really happy I did it that way. Add a little bit of water and olive oil in there just to give it kind of a liquid sauce, and then that hummus and the pasta and everything just came together really, really well. So, oh, and I added a little bit of curry as well, so that was a nice little kick. All in all, I gotta say, the night is going so far so good. It is very, very quiet out here. Very quiet. So there are 2 squirrels behind me over by the tent that are talking back and forth off and on. So we get a little bit of chatter there. One thing I do want to mention, cooking inside of the tent. So with garlic, onions, cooking inside of the tent, the smells travel forever. So if you're going to be cooking in your tent or even out in the backcountry cooking, have your head on a swivel and just keep looking around, because I am in bear country. We don't have big grizzlies or brown bears, but we do have a lot of black bears and a lot of coyotes out here. And sometimes they get a little curious, especially being this close to a water source and a known area where people do camp. They tend to kind of build that habit of returning to that area to check it out every now and then. And if they smell food and it's very quiet, like me, I'm out here by myself, it's quiet. You want to keep your head on a swivel and really look around and make sure there's no bears behind you, because they can sneak up on you. And one other thing is clean your dishes. So I've gone down to the lake, I've cleaned everything down there, and I put all my dishes back on the wood stove to burn off any liquid or any scent that's in there. And then I put them on my little titanium grill as basically a table, like a little drying rack. So that's just kind of sitting there. Everything's been taken care of, and I'm totally ready for nighttime. But right now, I'm just going to chill out, enjoy this lake, and wait for sunset. Alright, so it's going to be dark in about 1 hour, and I'm just trying to get a lot of these twigs and dry branches broken off so I can store them inside of the tent. I like doing this in the evening just before it's dark and saving all of this for morning time. That way I have a morning pile of wood and a night pile of wood, so I know I have enough for the morning to light the wood stove, make coffee, make breakfast without ever having to get out of the tent. It's not a big deal right now because it's not going to rain, it's not going to snow, but in the middle of the winter time, if it is windy and cold and snowy, the last thing you want to do is be finding wood early in the morning when you need the fire right away. So this is just something that I like to do. I'm just going to kind of go around these dead trees and clean some of these off, make a nice pile inside of the tent. On the right side of the stove is going to be morning firewood, and everything on the left side of the fire or the wood stove is going to be firewood for the evening. So I'm going to collect a little bit more of these and get them inside of the tent. Alright, so coming inside of the mesh inner to the tent, give you guys kind of a decent look at what I've got going on here. Got my sleeping pad pushed kind of more towards the center as I do come in here for the evening and actually go to sleep. I'm going to be moving this over to about the door. I like moving it really close to the center pole. That way I have more room behind me to store gear. Right now I'm going to be sitting up, getting changed, kind of moving around. So I like to have equal room on both sides. But usually once I'm ready for bed, I'll move my sleeping pad right up close and throw all my gear behind me that's kind of in a clutter inside of the mesh inner. So I've got my battery bank rigged up here. I do have a flashlight and a headlamp with me that I like bringing in here. I've got my change of clothes up by my head with my hoodie. I've got my knife, battery bank. You guys can see the cable right here to my battery, and my light bulb just kind of flick off and on. I like keeping that up here by my head end, so it is hung inside of the actual mesh inner. There is a hook on the outside of the mesh inner as well. I like hanging it inside, that way I can zip it shut and not worry about this cord getting jammed up in the zipper. So it is very roomy in here, and it is incredibly warm right now. The stove is damped down quite a bit, and that front door is open just a little sliver. I closed half the panel, so there is a little bit left open. I've got a beautiful view of the lake right now, though. I can actually see the water, and I can see some of the trees across there, so that's pretty cool. I'm probably just going to lay like this for the first hour, and then when it starts to actually get really dark and that night air really starts to set in, then I'll most likely close that door and just kind of lounge in here. I'm going to take my shoes, put them here, and I like propping my phone up on that, and that's kind of my phone stand for watching movies. So that is basically it. So I'll give you guys a little inside scoop here. I am going to be getting changed now, and I'm going to start on my first movie in probably about 20 minutes. I'm going to do some tidying up here and get some organizing done, and that's basically going to be me for the night. So I'm going to say goodnight to you guys now. I'm going to be in lounge mode for the rest of the night, and I'll see you guys first thing in the morning for coffee and breakfast. Good night, guys. Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful morning out here. Some nice sunshine, cool, crisp air this morning. It's around 5 to 6 degrees Celsius. So it did get fairly cold. It didn't get down to freezing, of course, but I was nice and warm inside of this inner with this big old top quilt, gigantic down top quilt. So that was nice all night long. I watched 2 movies last night, and as you guys can see, I really didn't go through a whole lot of firewood, so I ended up letting the stove just totally burn out, probably at around 10 p.m., and I stayed up till about midnight, and I was totally comfortable with my top quilt. But just having this here, being able to cook inside of the tent without having to get out and whatnot, and to dry certain things, you know, it's nice to have the wood stove right now this time of year, especially if it's raining, which of course it's not today. But I do have my hot cup of coffee on the go right now. So this is another Tribo coffee that I brought with me. Different flavor. And I gotta say, it is actually really, really good. Oh yeah. So I've got that on the go right now. I've got 2 packs of oatmeal that I'm going to be making. I did bring some more Wild Zora food. So you guys have been seeing this a lot on the channel. This is Wild Zora banana bread flavor hot cereal, and then I brought just a regular pack of Quaker oats. So this is non-flavor, it's just regular. I'm going to mix that with this just to give it a little bit more bulk without adding sugar and all that stuff. So I've got 2 packs of oatmeal there. I've got my 750 up here, going to bring that to a boil, and then I'll be able to mix that in and have my oatmeal for my breakfast. And I also do have this little guy. So I've got this, and I've got a blueberry bagel behind me in a bag. This is a tiny little bear jar of honey. The problem with this is it's not liquid honey, it's actually rather thick. So I'm gonna have to set this bottle next to the wood stove and possibly scrape the bark off of a stick and kind of probe inside of the bottle to get some honey out to put on the bagel. But I think this is gonna work really well. Emily ended up getting this for me a while back. She found it at a shop. It was just a tiny little bear full of honey. So I said, yeah, I'll take that with me. But of course, it's not liquid honey in there. It's pretty thick creamed honey. So I'm gonna have to get that out of there. I'm gonna place it on my little table rack here, right next to some heat, and hopefully that'll melt down. I do believe the water is starting to boil right now, actually. Let's have a look. This trip has been full of silly little injuries. You're probably noticing the band-aids on my hands. Okay, so that's not boiling yet. So I smashed my hand yesterday with the baton, batoning firewood for splitting for the wood stove. And then last night I burned the whole back of my, or yesterday I burned the back of my finger. I was reaching for the 750 and my finger went right on the red hot pipe. And it is one gigantic blister. I just put a band-aid over it, deal with it when I get home. But that's the thing with hot tenting, is you get a lot of burns and a lot of cuts, especially on the wrist. When you're opening up the stove door and you're kind of reaching around, that door will get you right on the wrist. And I don't know how many times I've been burned, but it hurts a lot. So just be careful when you're working around the hot tent. Sometimes gloves, you'll notice that I do have my leather gloves here. They are very useful, but sometimes they almost ruin your dexterity, so you can't really feel things. So it's almost worth just taking them off. But I like using my spoon handle or fork to kind of manipulate all the little controls on the stove, even pull my lid off my pot if I need to. So that's another little tip. But right now it is just about oatmeal time. I'm going to enjoy some more coffee, wait for that water to boil, mix up some oatmeal, and then enjoy my lakefront view out this door, which is absolutely incredible. We got a lot of fall colors starting to pop even in the forest here. A lot of the shrubbery starting to change, and as well as across the lake. So I'm going to enjoy some coffee, bring that to a boil, and start on some oatmeal. All right, guys, I've got my blueberry bagel toasted. The honey did actually melt back into liquid, so I'm gonna try this out. Oh, wow. The nice toasted bits of the blueberry bagel and that sweet honey is absolutely incredible. Oh, yeah. Just gotta keep an eye on these guys, because right now the stove is burning rather hot. I don't want to burn it too bad. That's pretty good right there, guys. Alright, so breakfast is ready. So I've got my blueberry bagel here with some honey. I didn't have to use a stick. It actually kind of came out easily once it was heated next to the stove, but it is a plastic bottle, so I don't want to heat it too fast. So I've got blueberry bagel with honey. I've got banana nut oatmeal, so hot cereal with some almonds and blueberries and whatnot in there, so that looks really good. And then I've got my Tribo coffee. So this one is Ethiopia, and I'll read the package to you guys on this one as well, because I'm trying to guess the flavor profile without reading it, just to see if I can pick it up, but this is really good. Oh yeah, really good. You definitely taste flavor more than a regular coffee is what I'm trying to say. So blueberry bagel with some honey. Give this a go again. Oh man. That has got to be the easiest hot tent breakfast. Toasted bagel. And this table slash grill is actually working really, really well as an off stove warmer. So it's not up high like the traditional warmers are. It's down low and off to the side. My knee is burning right now next to that glass. But this is working really well. Keeping my food kind of warm. I guess I could probably put my coffee up there. And it's like the perfect distance right now from the stove that it's still going to stay warm. And then I've got all this room underneath for firewood, and it's a neat idea. I may actually utilize this winter as a table. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Let's give this hot cereal and oatmeal a taste. Looks good already. Oh man. Wow, really, really strong banana. Okay, so this is cool. We've got blueberries, we've got almonds sliced, bran, regular oatmeal, a lot of banana. Really good. Alright, so a pretty rounded breakfast, as far as nutrients anyways on the trail. So I'm going to enjoy this, my bagel, coffee, and I'll catch up with you guys as soon as I'm done with breakfast. Alright guys, everything is totally packed up. Very nice fit and finish, I've got to say. I'm definitely loving this. Absolutely loving this. So the one thing that I do have to do is clean up this firewood. I'm going to store it off in the forest somewhere sheltered, so it'll hopefully stay dry for next time. And this is how an area should look when you're ready to leave. Exactly the way it should be, not the way I found over by the fire pit when I rolled in here, totally destroyed. So I am still irritated at that, but I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to clean this area up nicely for the next person. Who knows, it might even be me the next time, right? So I'm going to clean this firewood up, and I'm going to store it off in the forest for next trip. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Pack is ready to go. I'm ready to hit the trail. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop it down in the comment section. And for everyone who is starting out hot tenting, listen up very careful. I have a 3-part operational kind of safety and hot tent and stove combination video series on how to get started hot tenting, everything you need to know with stoves, tents, and safety. So check out that playlist. I'll link it down in the video description if I remember. If not, go to my hot tent tab on playlists. Go down through and you'll find 3 parts. The first is tents, the second is stoves, and the third is safety. I will be doing an updated video to go along with that series in about a week or 2. So stay tuned for that. That is all I got for you guys. Backpack is going on and I am out of here. So thank you guys very much. Peace out and I'll see you in the next video.